Hello friends of Cosmic Agency, this is Gosia. Let's begin with the second episode of the monthly recap, and this time it is for August. For those of you who have no idea what I'm doing here, this is the recap of the space news that Mari Zva did in her official channel Zvaru Oficial. And who is Mari Zva? She is a 16-year-old extraterrestrial Pleiadian, Taigetan Pleiadian in the orbit of the Earth, who has been sharing direct information from the space orbit, from their ship. Right now it is the Sadicleya, the name of the ship, for almost 2 years now. And not only that, she has been recently crowned a Taigetan Pleiadian queen. Yes, there's a lot of story behind this, so please follow her channel Zvaru Oficial for more information. And I'm doing here the recap of the space news from the last month. So let's begin. I'm not going to do the recap of what I'm going to be recapping because there's too much of a recapping. So let's go straight to the news. First piece of news that was important and that was mentioned by Mari Zva was the dissolution of the so-called Zvarunian race. Now, let me remind you that this happened when Zvaru Verra, who we have been in contact with since 2017 to 2020, and she had a lot of problems with the Galactic Federation, and she has been sharing a lot of information that was endangering the safety of the matrix here on Earth, so she was not very much liked. So she came up with this idea that based on some, according to her biological foundations, she can remove herself from the Taigetan race officially and be like a separate race. And this way, she can continue with her work uninterrupted. It was a political move, so this way she was not belonging to the Federation, so she wanted to be free. So as I said, it was a political move, even though she did have her genetic and biological reasons also for doing that. And since Zvaru Verra, then Athena, Mari, Yaski, they used to call themselves as Zvarunian race. But as Mari here states, there is actually no biological support and no genetic support for this claim. And she is explaining that this was a political move from Zvaru Verra. And she's also saying that this is not a contradiction, this is just an evolution of the same subject. This idea came up when she was suggested by then Queen Alanim to be a successor, to be a Taigetan queen. So you could say that this was also a political move by Mari Zva. However, she's explaining here, and very logically it makes sense, that there is actually no biological reason for the Zvarunians to be viewed as a separate race, because she's explaining that this supposed mutated DNA, something that was supposedly making them different from Taigetans, it actually appears among Taigetans, and also it can also appear in Lyrians in general, regardless of the race. All these abilities that Zvaru Verra had, and Yaski has, and Mari herself has, and Athena, doesn't define them to be a specific separate race, because we always say, and they always say, we can all develop these abilities. This potential is in all of us, in all the Lyrians, even in humans on Earth, and that wouldn't make us a separate race. She's also stating that parthenogenesis, which was another argument by Zvaru Verra, parthenogenesis is also possible among Lyrian races, among Taigetans in general. It doesn't make those women be separate race. And also, as she explains, some Zvarus from Zvaru 9 and above had a father. They actually had a father. So how can you be a species of your own if you depend on a representative of another gender from another race? So in order to reproduce. So she's using this argument here as well. And as Yaski actually said herself, and Mari said that Yasky reluctantly agreed. I asked Yasky recently, why did you reluctantly agree to this? And Yasky simply said that she agrees with Mari, but she just liked the idea of us being a separate race. But she does agree with Mari and her very logical explanation behind it. So that is it. We are changing all the names on the website. It's not going to be Zarunian anymore, which is actually kind of better in a way. I think I said that in the past recap, because it's like when I do the interviews and I'm saying Taigetan and Pleiadians and Zarunians, like who are Zarunians, and I have to explain this. So now it's all Taigetans, and that's much easier for everybody. Let's continue to the next piece of news, and this is Galactic Federations. We're going to be talking about Galactic Federations a lot here in this recap. The Galactic Federation's response to attack on Alanim. Alanim, recently Queen Alanim has been attacked, and she's currently in the pod, in Temer, a medical pod, recovering. She is still there. So the response came from the Galactic Federation, not from the Saturn level, where the attack actually came from. The response came from the Viera, from the local Andromedans and other representatives there of the local federation, and they basically just confirmed, okay, it's not us, we didn't do this, we have nothing to do with this, and we are very sorry for what happened. And Mari here feels their response was very wishy-washy, and it's like they're trying to sweep it under the rug, not caring enough, even though the proof has been provided. The proof has been provided that the attack came from the highest level of the Federation in Saturn. However, the higher Saturn Federation levels are totally inaccessible, and the Andromedans, this is what they use again as well as an excuse that we have nothing to do with this and we have no one to appeal this to. You can't even go there. Like even if you fly there, because Matthias, my partner, he said, well, why don't they just fly there, take their ships, the hardest, strongest military operation starships, and just go there and, kind of barge in. You can't even fly there. This is a totally strictly forbidden no-fly zone by the Federation, and all the spaceships that come close, they are immediately kicked out. As Anneka explained here in this video, this is the video that was made some time ago. The information was given in 2021. The Federation, like I'm saying, this is totally inaccessible. In this video, she's talking about this. So as you see, it was already back in 2020, 2021, being discovered and being noted by the Taigetans that something is shady going on here with the Federation, and the topic of this is just growing and developing and being so much more strengthened by Marisva and by her actions, which I will go into a bit later. So all these attacks on Mari, I'm referring to the attacks on Mari, just added to the ongoing rupture between the Federation, Taigetans, Alcyon, the Council. This is just becoming worse and worse. And let's see where it goes. But as we will see at the end of this video, I think it goes in the right direction. It's where it should be going. So I'm optimistic. Now the next piece of news, Toleka. Toleka spacecraft that has been here since 1935 has arrived in Temer and is now being repaired. It is the first ship of its class, 89 years old, terrestrial time, of course. It is an emblem for all the terrestrials. And not only for the terrestrials, also for you, for the subscribers who have been following this story since the beginning. So it is a very historical ship. As Mari here explained, it is an end of an era. And everybody was pretty sad that Toleka left. It was an emotional moment for them. Now, I would like to mention here something that Athena Svaru talked about in 2022, and this is about hyperspace jumps, how the large aircraft actually go through hyperspace, because it's a bit different for them than for the smaller craft. And Toleka has been is very damaged, so it was very worrying for them to be sending her off through the hyperspace, because the hyperspace jump is not moving, but it still requires a lot of strength from the engines. And as you know, Toleka's engine have been very weak, so the time that normally would take maybe 7 hours or so to reach Taygeta from here, it took Toleka several days. And in this Athena's video here, she actually explains, there are 2 videos on this topic. It's very interesting if you want to look this up, about how the large spacecrafts move through the ether and what it takes for the engines to actually do this jump, do this toroidal immersion jump. And here she explains, I'm going to read this part just to make like a teaser for that video if you want to check it out again. She says this: if Temer has a simple value of 10 and Earth of 100, a ship will change its frequency with its engines sequentially. So it will be 10. And that is if the ship wants to come from Temer to Earth. So it will be 10, then it will impose 11 frequency address. And when that is executed, it will impose 12 and then 13, 14. So the frequency of changing the molecules and not changing the toroidal frequency of the whole ship will be imposed upon the ship and the crew inside it sequentially. Another point about this step-by-step progression of displacement within hyperspace is that this maneuver I just described is used on large ships like Toleka, which weighs about 20 million metric tons. The reason is that 20 million tons of metal are difficult to convert with a simple immersion inside an energetic toroid. This is because it takes an enormous amount of energy to change the frequency of so much metal, which demands an enormous stress for its engines. And Toleka's engines have been weak. And even then, a large ship will have or suffer from a phenomenon of molecular resistance, for lack of a better translation. That is to say that a large mass object, when being immersed in its toroid of its engines, will tend to change frequency from the hull part towards the interior, with a significant time lag between the outer and inner parts of a large mass ship. So check these 2 videos. The links are going to be here somewhere in the corners. If you are interested to know how Toleka made this jump. Now, we asked Yaski what's going to be of Toleka, whether it's going to be dismantled, and she said she's pretty sure that it's not going to be dismantled. She said she doesn't know yet and she hasn't been told, but she doubts enormously that it would be dismantled. It is a historic ship. First, they would convert it into the hotel or something, a museum. Very few ships have such a huge history like Toleka. For example, talking about Toleka history, what happened from Toleka? The whole story of the Vril girls and the Nazis, that story happened from Toleka. Now, I'm not going to discuss this from the, was it right, was it wrong, what happened there. I'm not discussing that. I'm just saying what happened. So the Vril society, the story with Nazis and all that, Rachel, that happened from Toleka. The Eisenhower story also happened from Toleka. And we have a video on our channel also, I put the links, where Rachel is describing her encounter with the President Eisenhower. All happened from Toleka. What else happened from Toleka as a base? Well, the communication with Nikita Khrushchev also happened and came out of Toleka. The Khrushchev was the first secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. from 1953 to 1964. And he also had other roles and positions. And yes, he was in communication with the Taygetans. And that also happened from Toleka. That was Rachel also. I'm going to quote here Athena and Aneka. It's both here. And that's what was said. The state representative who did listen to us, and that was because it was mentioned that Eisenhower did not listen to them. It is in the video about Eisenhower. But Nikita Khrushchev did listen to them. So the state representative who did listen to us was Nikita Khrushchev from Russia. He ended up very badly because of our contact. He listened to us, largely preventing the missile crisis of 1961-1962, only to be removed and isolated from the Soviet Politburo for wanting to share with the world his contact with us, specifically with Rachel. Contact destroyed his life. Why? The Soviet Politburo accused him of giving Taygeta too much control and influence over his government, and they sent him to voluntary exile, house arrest, in his hut. I don't know much about this story. This was like in the past, and some of these past stories they don't really like to talk about or go into, and there's always so much new developments happening. So what's in the past is in the past. However, it's in the registry of historical records of what happened in Toleka and what came out of Toleka. What else happened? Billy Mayer. Everything that happened with the Billy Mayer, it came out of Toleka, which, by the way, if you are new, yes, the Billy Mayer has had in the past, not anymore, contact with the Taygetan Pleiades. Same ship, Toleka. It was just a different crew. And then the first contact project came out of Toleka as well in 2008. And of course, as Yaski here said, this disclosure, this project that we have been doing also came out of Toleka, which is also historical. So there is a lot of stories and histories attached to Toleka. And well, now it's the time for Sadicleya to start creating its own history, and let's see what happens. I would say that a lot of things are already happening that will be historical, I am sure. Now the move to Sadicleya, to their new ship, Marisva's flagship, has been concluded in a way. And I say in a way because it's been a lot of work, hundreds of boxes, as Yaski said, and many of these boxes are still unpacked. It was very hard to move, a lot of work, because as Yaski said, so many things have been were dispersed across this almost 2-kilometer long spaceship, and you had to go and recover all these things, make sure you don't leave anything behind. In fact, they had to leave a lot of things behind, and it was hard for them, as Yaski said, to make sure to decide, how it is to let things go and then decide which ones to take with you. For example, as Yaski said, she had to leave her 3-wheel scooter behind. This is it. This is the image she sent us, and this is very similar to what she actually had, and it was the same Spider-Man design. So she had to leave it behind, and she said it was kind of becoming smaller for her, even though she's not growing. So I was asking, what do you mean smaller? You're not growing. And she said, well, it feels like it's becoming smaller. Something is just not right with it. So she left it behind, and she actually got an electric scooter, and she already got hurt. She fell somewhere. Actually, this is going to be in the next video. Well, not in the next video, in one of the future videos, where I will share this casual conversation that we just had, Robert and I, with Yaski, talking about some of these things. As you know, Sadicleya looks very similar on the outside. It's white. Toleka was like blackish. However, as Yaski says, you can note differences on the inside. And they still have a lot of exploring to do. And they still get lost inside the ship. And there are many advances, many new advances. And it works. Everything works. So it's a break from the previously from the previous situation where something was always not working properly. In Toleka, some of the things were not even used yet, some of the spaces. And many furniture, for example, a lot of the furniture is still in their protective covers. So there's still a lot of unpacking. For me, this is my favorite part of the moving. I always like to take everything out of the box. I put a music on and I'm having a good time. So I told Yaski if I was there, I would help her with that because I like that. However, I'm not sure she will let me, because when I asked her if she was helping with packing, she said, well, yes, I don't like anybody touching my stuff or something like that. So I'm not sure if unpacking, she would accept my help. Now, this is going to be a fun fact. There's a new advance, something new on the ship. Something new on a ship they never had before. Even though these kinds of technologies, of course, exist, is nothing new, but they didn't have it on their ship. And that is Sadicleya's AI. As you know, Toleka's AI was Moma, right? It's now back in Temer. Sadicleya also has its AI. It's called Sadi, but it actually comes in the form of an android. They have an android that looks like a person, like a Tigetan woman, who is basically an interface between the ship and the people on board. She is ship itself. So as Yaski here says, Sadicleya's AI for the first time incorporates an android, an anthropomorphic robot that interacts with the crew, but it is the ship itself. Did they turn it on? No, they are afraid of it. As Yaski said, they are afraid of that thing. And then Robert said, well, why are you afraid of it? I mean, this is nothing, it's not going to hurt you because it's a reflection of your society, right? The AI always reflects the creator. And Yaski interestingly said here that she admits that it is some kind of a influence from the earth, from watching too many terrestrial movies where the AI robot turns on its creator and kills them. So it gives them a little bit of a shady feeling. They don't want to turn it on. Like no one feels like they want to turn it on. They are just not used to having robots like this in general. Taygeta is not a society that is into robots too much. Now, how does she look? She looks like a Taygetan, young, blonde, very long, golden hair woman in a tight one-piece suit. And apparently, even her fingernails are painted. But it's sitting there somewhere in the closet and they don't want to turn it on. I would turn it on just for curiosity. Because, I mean, if something happens, whatever, if you don't like it, you can just turn it off. And he said, well, we don't know how to turn it off yet. We don't know what's going to happen. So anyway, it's sitting there somewhere. I'm pretty sure that at some point they will try it. So that was a fun fact. This is also going to be covered in the conversation that I will publish. I will probably publish this conversation sometime after my vacation. And here I'm going to remind you very briefly before we go to the next piece of news. On the 12th of December, I'm leaving. Matthias and I, we're going on vacation for the first time in a long time. We're actually going to a nice place. I'll tell you later. So I'm not going to be here until 23rd, okay? I'm going to be there. I'm taking my little phone with me, so I'll be checking, but no video. So this video will come after I'm back. Okay, let's go now to the very important information. This is to do with Galactic Federation. And I'm trying to speak fast, and still the time goes so fast. It's been 25 minutes since I've been rambling. Okay, now let's go to some diplomatic incidents that happened this month. On the 13th of August, an Andromedan wished to speak to Mari. So Mari went for a meeting, and the Andromedan supposedly asked Mari to stop slandering the Galactic Federation in her videos and to stop instigating other races, which of course she's not going to do, and she's going to do more of. And I support that, and I'm going to say something about this at the end. Following this incident, which was very strange, very kind of rude, Mari felt bad, like, something was off about this meeting. And following this meeting, this incident, the Galactic Federation informed the Taigetans that they are actually canceling the second contact program. So unfortunately, the program cannot continue, because if they did continue, there would be sanctions against them. And we know that one of these sanctions could have something to do with the internet communication and Mari's channel and all that. And the reasons they gave is because the program supposedly is going to go against the interest of the Galactic Federation, even though the Taigetans were just supposed to be starseeds and not spreading any specific extraterrestrial information. And also because the Federation sees it as highly intrusive to the Matrix in its development, as it's supposed to be uninterrupted, as if they don't interrupt the Matrix from their side. So we asked about the cadets, how do they feel, those that were in training. They are disappointed, of course, but they continue their training because their presence is still required. You never know what's going to happen and what's going to be needed. So they are not going home. They are still here, and they are getting prepared, learning languages, learning in general about the operations, about the missions, about being here, about Earth and humans and their reality. Now, then what happened? Mari talked to another Andromedan representative through the holographic screen. This time it was a woman, and she was a representative of the Andromedan society and in a way of this portion of the Galactic Federation, from what I understand. And she was apologizing to Mari for the previous meeting. So she came very diplomatic and asking Mari not to close off any relations and continue to work on solving this problem. And asking Mari to perhaps talk about the good sides of the Federation and not only focus on its defects. And Mari here finally said that she doesn't have to do that, talk about the good points, because the Federation itself does a very good job spreading the propaganda about themselves. So that's covered. And then the Andromedan woman asked Mari why exactly she is against the Federation. So Mari gave her points. Of course, more of this, you can go to Mari's videos herself, see what she said thoroughly on each of these subjects. And at the end of the meeting, the Andromedan woman asked Mari to somehow solve this. Like, how can we solve this? So Mari first asked for the investigation into the attack on ARIEN. There is proof. Investigate this and take this seriously. And interestingly, Mari also asked for audio and video for her communication with humans. Let's see how that goes. Although I have a feeling how it's going to go. I will continue with this subject, with the incidents and with the Federation, but let's just stop for a moment and talk about the new crew member. So this is Anna Algeria from Temer, and she has been handpicked by Marisva herself to be her personal assistant. She's only 17, fresh out of academy. She arrived here on the August 24th on board Vigilant Eagle, who came here to the Earth orbit after escorting Toleka. So Anna Algeria is not Mari's assistant yet. She's going through some training, but then she will be her assistant. Now also to give you names of all these different captains in case you need them. We have Thales of Temer, captain of Asterope, Goriel of Temer as well, captain of Alcyone, and Vigilant Eagle. This is Niza Ovid from Era. So these are the names, of course, approximate spellings because these words are not human. There was an interesting incident. I'm going to summarize this when they arrived. When Vigilant Eagle came here with Anna Algeria on board. So when they came out of the hyperspace, there is this protocol that first you have to come out of the hyperspace about 400,000 kilometers away from the Earth. Big ships must do that. Because when you exit hyperspace here, there's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of traffic at each time. And there's about 5,000 small ships always in the orbit of the Earth, and around 1,000 big, long spaceships. And there's another protocol, and that is when the large ships arrive, they have to inform Viera, the Galactic Federation headquarters, of their arrival. So the Vigilant Eagle didn't do that, and when he exited the hyperspace, it was intercepted by 2 Alfratan destroyers, asking them to go to Viera for inspection. And the Taigetan captain refused. He didn't cooperate. So at this point, the Alfratans, even though at this point they knew exactly what the Vigilant Eagle was, they were trying to do what many cops here on Earth do, like just trying to follow their strict protocols, just to be assholes, just to exert power, basically, just to show who has the guns. And they positioned themselves to fire tractor beam to force the Vigilant Eagle to be taken to Viera for inspection. So the captain of the Vigilant Eagle made a maneuver to escape that, but the inertia dampeners on the ship were not ready yet. So all the crew members flew. It was a very sudden move. Some of them got hurt, and Anna Algeria got hurt as well, and not very badly, but yes. Then the Astarope came to help, to assist. It actually came using hyperspace jump, which in theory is not allowed, but it needed to be in rescue there. And it arrived and warned Alfratans to leave, fired some warning shots, so finally the Alfratans left. So Mari informed the Viera headquarters about this incident, which was very serious because it could have ended in something much more serious. Nothing more serious happened, and no consequences transpired. A Andromedan woman even kind of agreed with Mari, saying that the Alfratans were acting too aggressively, but also diplomatically, kind of keeping both sides. Here, she asked Mari, next time, teach your crew to report the entries into the orbit. So the problem here is that these incidents happen all the time. There are many. Please remember that Mari has been doing this for some time now and informing you of these different incidents, but it hasn't started just now, the incidents. It wasn't reported before. But I do remember Aneka always saying that the Alfratans are always behind them like watchdogs and policing them all the time everywhere. So this has been very uncomfortable for them for a very long time, and Mari is asking herself, like, who is allowing this to happen? Why is this actually allowed to be happening like this? Because, okay, to be totally fair, yes, the captain of the Vigilant Eagle didn't inform of the entry points. Okay, could have done so, but still, the Alfratans could have been a bit more rational and civil about this. They are supposed to be on the same side, right? In a way, so they didn't have to be so violent against the Vigilant Eagle. They could have given them, some kind of a fine, the space equivalent of a fine, and that's it. This is what I'm going to say now happened, it happened actually still in August, and that's why I'm talking about it, but the video the Mari made was just yesterday, already goes into September, but I will still mention it because it did happen at the end of August, and that is talking about Alfratans. One of the Alfratan fighter ship, Black Knights, was actually shot down a few days ago in Canada. With what? With a surface to a missile after identifying it as an intruder. So someone from Earth identified as an intruder, and they filed that. And Mari is saying that it's strange because those Black Knights ships have technology, very advanced technology, to be able to ward it off, those surface-to-air missiles. That this is not something that would endanger the advanced Black Knights. But apparently, and I can confirm, Mari doesn't need me to be confirming anything, but I'm just saying that, yes, it's not the first time I'm hearing about Centauri's drinking. It was never mentioned before, so there was no context, whatever, we didn't go into it, but we did hear that some Alfratans drink. They are everybody is very influenced by the Earth, even Taigetans themselves depend on Earth food, for example, many of them, and products and stuff like that, and get influenced by the ideas, like birthdays. But also it means that there's also bad influence on whoever is a match to the bad influence, and Centauri picked up that habit of drinking. So I'm not saying everybody. I'm not saying they're all a bunch of drunks. Okay, I'm not categorizing them to be this or that. I'm just saying that it happens, and it happened here because what happened here was that the pilots made a maneuver, and this maneuver to escape the missile, and that maneuver failed, and they crashed against the mountain. And it's not that they were killed by the missile; they were killed by that crash. So they were both reported dead, a pilot and a co-pilot. Athena, which is our dear super what's the word? I forgot. Super pilot or whatever. Top Gun. That's what I was gonna say. Athena and Azrael, another Top Gun, they were sent in to assist in the Suzy Mark VI fighter ship. However, when they got there, the wreck was already being taken by the Alfratans before people could arrive there, before Earth humans could arrive there. And just to remind you, Mari's also reminding you of this, that sometime back in this year, something similar happened, that 2 Alfratan pilots were shot down and taken into custody on Earth. And actually, as Mari says, nothing is known about them, or they don't know. So again, it seems like it's one of those stories that gets swept under the rug. No extraction was intended, as far as they know. If you want to know more about Alfratans, another name for them is Centauri. They are the numerous race present on Earth and in the orbit, in the vicinity of Earth, but also on Earth, even infiltrating many ranks of the human society, like on a high level, like many politicians, for example, are actually Centauris, step-downs. So if you want to know more, a few years ago I made a video about Centauri. This is with Zarun. However, keep in mind that some of the stuff that mentioned here, when it comes to history of the Alfratans, is probably not right, as Mari and also Urmas are uncovering. So keep that in mind, but for sure there's going to be still some information there that you can benefit from. And now, this is very important. This is the last piece of news for today. Mari, just a few days ago, she summoned Alcyon Council to a meeting. Alanim, she has been in power for 6 years. She's no longer in power, but she has done her job for 6 years, and one of her tasks was to show the evidence of the abusive and permissive nature of the Galactic Federation to the Alcyon Council and to other races, causing them all to distance themselves from the Galactic Federation. So this was achieved by Alanim, and this is just now strengthened and reinforced by Marizva. This was her first, or is going to be, I think already was, yes, it happened already, first official meeting with the Alcyon Council as a Taigetan queen. And officially now, talking about races who are allies of the Taigetans, we also have Antarians on the Taigetan side. We still don't know much about them. I'm pretty sure Mari perhaps has the idea of making a video on Antarians specifically, but they are definitely officially on the Taigetan side. Also Urmas and also Lyrians from Vega, from Vega, and Mari is recruiting more races as we speak, and that's what's probably making the Federation really angry. That's the point that makes them angry the most. The treaties that are being happening all over the place now with other races, and treaties with Urma Council. Goriel, that has been attending those Galactic Federation meetings, is not going to be attending anymore, but they are looking into organizing their own meetings. And talking about the treaties, Alcione Council is just about, or already has, Mari will talk about it any moment, is about to sign the military treaty with the Urma ARIEN Council. This is another type of a treaty. Now, I don't know specifics. Mari will talk about this because we know that they already have some sort of treaties with the Urmas, feline civilization, but this is some kind of another type military treaty, Alcione Council and Urma ARIEN Council. Or maybe it's the Getans who had the treaty with the Urmas and not the Alcione Council. Now it's going to be Alcione Council, which is a representative of all Pleiadians. And I am very glad that this is progressing this way. Mari will be presenting in this Alcione meeting her view on how to proceed with Earth, which actually I'm very curious about to know what is that view exactly, with more specifics on how to proceed with the Earth. But I'm glad this is moving on with such strong strength since Mari came now in power, because it's time to be paying attention to what the Tegetans have been saying. So all the other races, if you are listening to me, pay attention. This is not a conspiracy theory. Tegetans are not some crazy conspiracy theorists who are just making this stuff up. They actually have information, they have data. Listen to them, listen to what they have to say. If you claim to be open and all inclusive, well, look at their information. Look at what they have to say. Look at the situation closely and pay attention because this is, I believe, going to be bigger than we all think. And I commend Mari because when she came, she was pretty shy. And we always said, or they also said, that she's not a warrior type, that she's more like a gentle and spiritual type of a person. But I can definitely see that warrior elements coming out of Mari Zvaru. This is the attitude of a warrior, and you don't have to be there with the sword fighting and kicking ass. She's kicking She's kicking the Galactic Federation's ass, and will be more so in the near future. Doing this, she said, is her mission, is her life mission. I think Athena said that at some point, that being a queen and doing all this is her life mission. This is what she feels. And Yaski also said that Mari Zva is the most powerful Zvaru. And it's amazing to hear this because we need that kind of strength and power and courage in the person of a leader, because you need to have enormous determination and balls to be taking on such a conglomerate of the organization such as Galactic Federation, which we know doesn't only have benevolent races among its ranks, but who knows what shady elements are running there behind. So she's taking them all on, and we all are. We are all standing with you, Mari. We are all standing with you, Urma, Antarians, Alcione Council, and we are paying attention, and we support you. Go! Let's go. Let's dismantle the circus. Let's make this place a better environment for everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching me. More is coming. Watch Mari Zva's channel, Zvaru Oficial, for more space news. And stay tuned for my videos as well, as interesting stuff will be coming up. The next video I'm going to be making is actually a video On Yasky, I had the series. I have the series now about Yasky. 2 episodes have been made, and now the third one, before my trip, I'm going to do this before my trip, is the update on Yasky. So this is just fresh conversation. A few weeks ago, a few months ago, June, July, I talked to Yasky about this, and we will update you on all these different points mentioned in Yasky series. Thank you, guys. I have to make this now in Spanish, so I'm going to go. See you in the next video very, very, very soon. Bye bye, everybody.